Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and in this video I'm going to share some information with you on the amazing plant called shepherd's purse. Now, the information I share with you is not meant to be medical advice. It is meant to educate and entertain you only. So please do your own due diligence when it comes to adding plants or herbs or anything to your supplement or diet routine. Make sure you check in with a qualified healthcare practitioner. Okay, so this plant actually has a lot of special meaning for me. Shepherd's purse is part of the mustard family and it grows all over. It actually originated from the Mediterranean, but you will find it all over the United States. You'll find it all over Europe. You will find it almost everywhere, and it's actually known as a common weed. One of its common names is mother's heart, just because of the little seed pods on the plant. They look a little bit like a heart, but they also look a little bit like an old-time shepherd's purse. In fact, the reason this plant has some really special meaning for me is because when my dad wrote his book when I was a senior in high school, he called it From the Shepherd's Purse. And here's a copy of his original book. And you can see he had a leather shepherd's purse made right there. And coming out of the shepherd's purse, when he had this picture done, is actually the shepherd's purse plant. So part of the meaning behind this, of my dad calling this From the Shepherd's Purse, his book on medicinal herbs, is that if you think about a shepherd that would go out with its flock, they would have a purse full of not just the food they were eating and the water, but it was full of different herbs and different things that the shepherd could use naturally to help keep his flock well. So this is a really beautiful plant, and it does grow absolutely everywhere. In fact, one of the things that I super love about it is that it's easy to identify and it's super easy to add into your routine. Now, the part of the plant you use is the entire plant. So shepherd's purse has roots that don't go super deep, but the leaves kind of tend to be down by the bottom of the plant. In fact, let me show you this. This is a copy of shepherd's purse in my book. And here's the shepherd's purse. You've probably seen this, right? And then look at this. You can see the leaves. The leaves are down near the bottom of the plant, and they're very sparse up here by the top of the plant. But if you look at a shepherd's purse, the leaves are actually a part of the plant that I've mostly used, and those are the ones that you kind of have to identify. Now, the little tiny part that looks like a shepherd's purse is where the seeds are. But you can actually take shepherd's purse and cut it off right at the bottom of a stalk. You can leave the roots in it so it's going to keep growing, but you'll be able to use the whole part of it. What we used to do is we used to chop it up, we would let it dry, and we would make it into a tea. You can make it into a tincture, and you can also make it into a poultice. It's really good to put on a skin wound for skin infections, and it actually helps to stop bleeding. Let me just give you a quick little rundown on some of the health benefits from my experience that shepherd's purse has. So from a lot of my experience, and I have a lot of sisters, shepherd's purse is good to help with your menstrual health if you're a woman. So this is something that you can brew into a tea or make into a tincture. It kind of helps balance, and especially if there's heavy flow. It's good for wound healing. It's also used as a diuretic. It's got anti-inflammatory properties, and it's also got cardiovascular properties. So there are definitely some reasons not to use shepherd's purse, and that is if you're pregnant, you're breastfeeding, and that's mostly because there's not enough studies on using shepherd's purse while you're pregnant or breastfeeding. And also if you have high blood pressure and if you're on blood thinners. I wrote a note to make sure of that. So I would say that shepherd's purse is one of those plants that you can add into your arsenal in a medicinal garden. Like if you had nettle, you had some lamb's quarters, you had some calendula, you had some echinacea, you had some feverfew. You know, this is one of the most beautiful things about growing medicinal herbs is it makes a really cool part of not just your medicinal herb garden, but your flower garden. In fact, shepherd's purse has these little teeny tiny white flowers along with those little seed pods that go all the way down the stems. And that is one really, really fun thing about shepherd's purse. In fact, I have a friend who's got a huge backyard, and he lives in the city here in Salt Lake, and he is a person who amazingly uses herbs and spices, but he grows so many in his yard. In fact, sometimes I'll go over to his house, he'll make me breakfast, and he'll get some eggs from his chickens, and then what he does is he goes out into his yard and he looks at what's out there and what's blooming and what's like ready to harvest. And he'll do sometimes chives and basil. We've done nettle. We've done shepherd's purse. We have done all kinds of things that he's just gone out with a little pair of garden scissors and snipped off this and snipped off that and picked this and picked that. And it's an especially fun thing to do when everything is blooming, and especially if you're in a place where you get hard winters like we do here, where you actually kind of have a window of when you can harvest and use these medicinal herbs. Now you can also dry them and drink them for teas during the winter, which is nice. Now, shepherd's purse should be harvested when you use it after the dew has already dissipated off and before it gets too hot in the sun, because you want those concentrated essential oils that are in every single plant. Anytime between, say, 8 a.m. to about 5 p.m. is the best time to harvest your shepherd's purse. So I would love to know what you think about this plant. This is definitely a plant that goes in the medicinal herbal cupboard. Other than, if you look at lamb's quarters or you look at purslane, which I love both of those are more foods than they are medicinal plants, even though they have a ton of great properties to them. From my experience, a pregnant woman and breastfeeding woman can definitely eat purslane and can definitely eat lamb's quarters. Lamb's quarters is like wild spinach, right? So I'd love to know what you think about shepherd's purse. Did you know that it was in the mustard family? It's a pretty cool plant. And like I said, this plant has a lot of special meaning for me because, when my dad was putting out this book when I was in high school, he actually let me be the one to go on and contact all of these 50-watt radio stations and to promote his book. And it was so cool because here I was, a 17-year-old, and everyone that I was talking to had no idea that I was only 17 when I was helping my dad promote this book. And to hear him talk about all these amazing plants, how easy they are to find and identify and grow and utilize in your natural herbal medicine cabinet was actually really, really fun for me. So shepherd's purse has a special place in my heart. And I would love to know what you think about this. Have you used shepherd's purse? Is this brand new to you? This would be something really fun to be able to identify. And this, in my opinion, is one of those plants that's super easy to identify. So I would love to know what you think. I hope you got some good information out of this video, and we'll see you next time.